People are always asking me if my hair is blue or if it's purple, and I'm always trying to explain that it's the light, and I don't think that it could be more perfectly illustrated because the lighting on this side is making it look very purple, and the natural lighting is making it look a lot more blue. Couldn't illustrate that better if I tried. It's also very fluffy today. My hair has moods. I call it Medusa, and Medusa's in a mood today. That is so not the point of this video today. Today, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on Rebel of the Sands by Alwyn Hamilton. The full synopsis for the book, as well as links to it, are in the description, and I was invited to review this as part of a sort of promo contest thing that Penguin does, so just kind of a disclaimer, that doesn't affect my review at all. It's not, you must give this a positive review, anything like that. Every time. Every time. The cats are fighting now. You'll probably see a lot of wandering animals in this, by the way. I'm still house sitting and pet sitting. This is a really long intro just to say, hey, I'm talking about Rebel of the Sands today. Alright, so first things first, I give this a big thumbs up. It was probably just what I needed at the moment, you know, right book at the right time, because it just sucked me in. It was thoroughly engaging. It moved along at a nice pace. Everything about it kind of made me happy. I didn't realize that it had any kind of gender bender slant in it, but those of you who have watched my Buzzwords and Deal Breakers chat, which I think we have talked about so much recently, we really need to revisit that video, will remember that my biggest one, number one, for as long as I can remember, and I blame it on a whole lot of different influences, is gender bender and girls who dress like boys in order to do the things they want to do. I had a lot of that growing up. There were a lot of movies, there were a lot of books. One of my favorites, the Song of the Lioness series, that's like the main plot point, and it's just become ingrained in there. So when I flipped to the back, actually, I didn't realize that that was an aspect. And I don't even know that it says it in the synopsis, but in the back, in the little about the author thing, it says that she has a weakness for fantasy and cross-dressing heroines, and I saw that and I was like, what? And figured that probably means that her debut book's gonna have that, and it did, and I loved it. There wasn't really anything I didn't like, so I'm gonna kind of do something different from what I normally would do. I don't normally address other people's reviews, and I don't normally read other people's reviews, unless A, there's someone that I really trust and want to see what they thought, normally after the book, because I don't like to be biased by what other people have to say, or B, if I'm not likely to read the book or am so on the fence that I just can't decide, then I'll read the reviews. So this one, I read them after the fact and was surprised by how divisive they were. There were many, like a whole long list of people in my Goodreads friend list who had given this 5 stars and 4 stars. But then as you go down, like 1s and 2s start popping up, and people were really torn on this, and I'm kind of surprised. So I kind of want to address some of those points, I think, that put other people off, but didn't put me off, so that if you see those reviews, you'll have a little bit more information and a better handle on whether it's something that's going to detract for you. So I saw some people saying that they felt like the book was really slow, that, you know, it's one of those walking books, which it is. I mean, it's an adventure and a travel story. I tend to like those, so if you're not a fan of those, then you might not like that in this. But for me, if it's just like pointless walking, if same ground covered every day, both literally and, you know, as a symbol or whatever, that's not fun for anyone. But if there is a good amount of travel in a story, I want to kind of feel that, you know, when things are so condensed down that you say the characters are here, point A, they need to get to point B, and it's going to take them weeks to get to point B, and then within a page or two, you're at point B, and you just have kind of summed it up by saying, after weeks of travel. I feel a little bit cheated, and I also feel like there's no development there for me, because I'm sure a plethora of things has happened in those 2 or 3 weeks, and I don't know any of them, and I don't know how it affected the characters, or if they've grown from it, or are tired from it, or whatever. So, you know, I want to feel a little bit of that travel exhaustion, but also I think travel time is useful time when you can really be exploring your characters while the actual fighting and adventure isn't going on. So while they're traveling from point A to point B, you've got some time to delve in. And I thought that that's what happened in this. I thought that we got to know them, we got to know more about the world. I didn't think that the down moments and the travel moments dragged on excessively, and I thought that Hamilton actually has a really good handle on pacing and on condensing time when it needed to happen. But when it needs to be stretched, it is. So I thought there was a really good handle on that, but maybe you'll find this boring, I don't know. Some people apparently did. And the other thing that seemed to kind of put some people off was the slight genre mashup feel. So it has a little bit of a cowboy Wild West thing and a little bit of a Middle Eastern genie story thing. To me, I love that. I love when two different things come together. I love the synergy. I love when you are pulling the best bits of each thing and creating something new out of them. I didn't feel like it was too Wild West inspired. I didn't feel like I was just reading a cowboy story set in the desert. I guess it's probably dependent on your expectations, but you know, just because they're riding horses or because they have guns, to me doesn't mean it has to skew cowboy. And sand horses were just frankly really cool, but also the whole gun thing brings in the iron element that you get in a lot of sort of fae, genie, fairy stories. So to me it made sense. It was a good complementary thing. They worked well together. They played off of each other. So I actually really liked that. This phone, man, this phone. I can understand people maybe wanting more of blank. You know, more of the desert, more of the mythology or whatever. But for me, I like when worlds collide. And I like seeing how someone pulls these different influences together, and it's sort of built-in world building that you know and are familiar with, which can be really good in a fantasy, so that you're not completely lost. And then it becomes about the twists and the things that you didn't know, and I think that's fun. It makes for a good, quick, light fantasy, so I enjoyed that. And then lastly, I think maybe some people didn't like the characters of the romance aspect, which of course there always is, but those are always dependent on each person in each book, so that I think you'd probably just have to read and find out. And there was nothing that I really didn't like, explicitly didn't like. I thought there was going to be something. There was kind of a character trait with Amani that I thought was going to make me really angry with her, but instead it's used to show her growth. She learns and she changes. And so what I thought was going to irritate me actually turned out to be really well used. It added a whole element to the story. There were things that I didn't see coming that maybe I should have, but totally didn't, and I love when that happens. I think there's a lot of potential for it to grow into a really strong series. I liked the characters, I liked the mythology, and I pretty much tore through it. So, you know, maybe read through some of the reviews on Goodreads if you're unsure. See those 5 stars and see those 1 stars. Figure out kind of where you stand and whether those things are attractive to you or whether they really bother you. But for me, someone who can be very picky and someone who can really hate on cliches and bad world building and bad pacing and things like that, these are things that I talk about a lot. For me, it all worked. So I'll leave a link below to the book on Amazon so that you can read the little look inside excerpt, or if you're watching this on my blog, I'll actually have the excerpt below so that you can check it out and see if you like the style. But for me, totally worked. Definitely looking forward to book 2. So that was what I thought of Rebel of the Sands by Alwyn Hamilton. Let me know your thoughts in the comments if you've read it, or if you've been on the fence, let me know why, and maybe between us we can figure out if it's the right book for you. That's all for now. If you want to see any other reviews, you can check out the playlist, which is going to pop up somewhere on the screen. I will see you again soon for a look at all of the amazing books that came my way in March. It's a 2-parter, so there were a lot of them. But until then, thank you for watching, and happy reading! Hi, Coco. You want to come in my lap? Come here. What did you think of Rebel of the Sands? Huh? What did you think? This is one of Marley's girlfriends, by the way. Those of you who have seen Marley in videos will know why I find that so amusing. Those who haven't seen Marley yet, he's a St. Bernard. With this. But they love each other.